Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is Easter Sunday, and He is risen. He is risen indeed. Welcome back to this 1 week, one shelf challenge. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the series as much as I have. I am down to my last week this week because next week I'm gonna start getting ready for like my May TBR, but I have very much enjoyed this series that I'm doing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see what I'm reading for this week. If you saw last week, you noticed that at the end I had rolled a 4, and that was my classics shelf. And not only did I get classic shelf, but the criteria was to read the book on that shelf that had the largest number of pages. So I did look at what I had with the largest number of pages, and I did skip some books because I'm using those for other videos. And the next one that I had was this one called Little Men by Louisa M. Alcott. And this one basically is the second book in the Little Women series, which I didn't know it was considered a series until I put this one on there. So this one basically is about Jo, and she opens up a school for young orphans, and so it is following these little boys story. So it's like a second generation type of thing. So I am eager to get started with it. And this is the book that I will be reading for this week. And depending on how fast I read this, which I'm not gonna lie to you, classics usually take me some time to get into and read. But again, depending on the time, I may pick another book off of that classic shelf. So we shall see. As I said, today is Sunday, and I just got back from having lunch with my mom's side of the family. We did like the big Easter egg hunt, and they had confetti eggs and everything. So you can't see it, but my makeup is kind of runny right now. So, but it was a good time. And so I do have some time between now and dinner. And I'm hoping to meet up with my dad later, and we'll have dinner with him for the evening. So I do have some reading time today. And then I'll hopefully get started with it. So yeah, that's the day, and we'll see how far I can get in this book. I will see you guys soon. Good morning. It is Monday, April the 28th, and I have completed Little Men by Louisa M. Alcott. Now, before I go into this, I realize, yes, it is Monday, so I kind of technically went ahead a couple of days this week and didn't really fully just do 1 week. We went out of town on Thursday and didn't come back until Sunday afternoon. So I did allow myself to, have the 2 extra days. But I actually did finish this on Saturday in the hotel room where we were. So technically I did finish it within a week. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about this book. I think I have my rating down. I'll have to put it right here on the screen. But I haven't really sat down and done my review or anything, but I think I'm leaning towards a 4 or a 4.5 stars. So Little Men is the second book in the Little Women series. I guess there's 3 books. And so you follow Jo and her family, as well as the school that she provides for these boys, and she kind of adds girls to the school, but very few girls. Anyways, this one had so many parallels to Little Women, and I loved it. Some sections were kind of slower than some, but I love the talk about the gardens that these little boys actually did keep. Physical gardens as well as the metaphor to the gardens in their lives, if that makes sense. So like things, characteristics that the boys wanted to grow within themselves and like what they focused on in that year. And I thought that was such a sweet little metaphor. Even Jo had her own goal, so to speak, for these young boys, and just the love that she shows them, the untraditional school she has for them, and just the way she helped raise each of these boys. It was just very sweet to read about. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time with this book. There were some heartwarming moments, especially with Dan, if you have read this book. He's one of the older boys, and just his little growth through the book is very sweet. And just getting used to all the different boys and just the struggles they go through, and just the way that they've grown, the way that their personalities come out, and it was just a sweet time. And so I enjoy it. This is an older book too, so there might be some elements in here that could be problematic, I would say, but it wasn't like distasteful in my opinion. And I loved this book. I would highly recommend this classic, especially if you're a Little Women's fan. There are some parallels, like I said, between the first book and this book. So I think you would have an enjoyment of it. So in addition to this book, I had to squeeze in this week my book for Alma's challenge. And the challenge was to read a book either set or published in the 1940s. And so I picked The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. And I actually read this book in a day, but I really enjoyed this book. It really surprised me how much I enjoyed it. I listened to this on audiobook, and it is surprisingly short. I think it's like over 3 hours on audiobook. But this book talks about a man. He ends up in, I guess it's hell, but I think it's also kind of like a purgatory in a way. And he gets on this train, and it's like the journey between like heaven and hell. And he just meets like the heavenly people there. And through his time there, he is witnessing all these people who come out of the train and are given the opportunity to stay there in heaven. And more often than not, he sees that they decide that they would rather stay in hell. And it was just interesting take on like heaven and hell in a way. And at first I wasn't really sure about this book, especially since it's not something that I believe in, with like purgatory and all of that. And I wasn't sure theology-wise how I would respond to this, but I really enjoyed the story, at least the different people that he met or saw and their own struggles, and just like the take on what they choose to hold on to or choose to let go. And of course, C.S. Lewis writes that it is a work of fiction. Like, he wasn't trying to look at the Book of Revelation to help write his story. It was more of just like his own like work of fiction and everything. So he does say that in the prologue or in his notes, and I appreciated that a lot. But I would highly recommend this book. I thought it was very well done. It wasn't too hard to understand, and it was short, like I said, so it was a good classic read. And I mean, it was just fascinating to read about, to think about even, especially when some of the people in the book were struggling with letting go of certain things throughout their life. You still kind of see that earthly struggle. And that's kind of like the premise of the book. There's an opportunity to be here in heaven, but you have to give up your old life or the things that you held on to in order to receive perfect peace, perfect renewal. I hope I'm explaining that well. And at least that's what I got from it. some parts really did speak to me and just help me reflect. And I think that that's a great book. Okay, so while we were on the trip, I also want to mention that I got 2 books from the Goodwill, and I'm so excited because one book I absolutely loved. I think I gave it 5 stars. I can't remember. But the book that I did find was Appalachian Song by Michelle Shockley. And I absolutely loved this book. I heard it on audio, and I'm not usually someone who would buy a book after I've read it, as far as if I heard it from the library. But when I saw this, I thought it was such a beautiful cover, and I loved like that green color. And I really liked the book. I loved the book. And I'm pretty sure I did give this a 5 stars. So I also recommended it to one of my colleagues who ended up loving the book. So I just had to get it. And it was cheap. So I got that one. And then the next one I got is actually on my Goodreads TBR, which it's really hard for me to find books on my Goodreads TBR at a Goodwill. But this one is So Brave, Young, and Handsome by Leif Inger. I believe that's how you say the last name. But he wrote Peace Like a River, which I really did enjoy that book, and so did my husband. And this one was another book that he wrote. And now I have these 2 books in my collection, so I'm very happy about that. Before I go, let me go ahead and tell you what my husband kind of has been up to with his reading. So one book that, of course, he's still going through, Habits of the Household. That book is taking him a little while, and that's okay. I'm trying not to pressure him at all about the book. But, you know, when he finishes it, I will let you know. But in addition to that, he did pick up another book. So he picked Where the Deer and the Antelope Play, The Pastoral Observations of One Ignorant American Who Loves to Walk Outside. And this is by Nick Offerman. And I mean, he picked this one up at a Goodwill and started to read it, but he only got to page 5. And he was not very sure about this book. He said it just seems like it is not just good. It's not going to be a book for him. And that's pretty striking that it only took page 5 for him to realize maybe not, and may not be a book to keep. Yeah, I don't really have much to tell you, except he just said it was just not going to be a book for him. Yes, that's where we're at. And I think he's focusing on the Habits book for right now. So anyways, I think this is going to conclude my 1 week, 1 shelf challenge. It was such a good challenge to do this month. Just reading some books, getting them off my shelves, for some of them that I have had on my shelves. This last week in April, because May is, because it's a weird week where April is ending and then May is starting, I'm deciding this is going to be the last video for this series. And this week I am going to be picking up books that I just need to pick up for this month, particularly my particularly my biblical retelling challenge. I have today just picked up that book that I will read, and that is Brave by Misu Andrews. Spoiler alert, I am really loving this book, and I'm hoping to finish it before April is up. But that is going to be my main focus, and then I will also be picking books for my May TBR. So that's kind of what this week looks like. And so hopefully I'll get the book done by the time I film my TBR. That way I can give you my final thoughts on it. So yeah, I think that's everything that I have to cover. I hope you enjoyed this series with me. This might be something I'll do later on. I'm not sure yet, but I have thoroughly enjoyed what I've read, and again, just taking things off my list. That was the goal, but I am very excited to play my game again because I do miss it. All right. Let me know if you have read any of these books that I've talked about, or if you particularly enjoyed this series. If you ever find that you want to try it, I would recommend doing it. You don't have to play the way that I do. I've tweaked it from what I saw others done, but whatever works for you. I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, and I will see you in another video. Bye, guys.